Alright, that was rather jarring. I've had a chance to listen to the first video, and I've noticed that I'm being more than a little bit mumbly. I will do my best to enunciate and try and keep things a little clearer for this second video. Right at the end, I decided that it didn't make much sense for items to be in the same room that you're going to use them in. That wouldn't be a very challenging adventure, because this is clearly going to be the pinnacle of challenges. So moving the items back up to, sandwich item back up to our first room. And we'll make sure that this hash can at least answer items, even if it answers it with nothing, or an empty array. Realized I am glossing over a fair bit of Ruby data structures, as I'm assuming that whoever's watching this will have some knowledge of them. However, if that's not the case, Ruby's two major data structures are arrays, which you've run into everywhere, and hashes. Hashes are just very convenient key value stores. They will store a key linked to a specific value. It's very quick and painless to retrieve the value for any key. It's easy to iterate through the keys to see what they all are. It's just generally a very convenient data structure. Alright. So we've made our two rooms that point to each other. We need to add these to our rooms hash. Just on general principle, I'm going to wipe out whatever had been in rooms before this. It makes our initialize somewhat redundant, but for now, it'll hopefully prevent any weirdness from cropping up. You can also access a hash just like this. I've got my room keys are just numbers for now, so room 1 is going to be our start room, our odd language, and 2 will be our second room, and we return start room at the end. So now rooms is set up, and current room should be set when it gets to this point. Alright, so we get into our while loop that will just keep running for the entire time our game is going. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, we should let our game end without too much of a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move run to here. And we'll have run for now return true, but later on if we need to exit, run can return false. Alright. As convenient as this single line is, I've realized that we're also going to want to display our room text for the first time in this case. Trying to decide if I don't want the room to redisplay to the user each time they try a command. We just want to send them back a message. So, yeah. Let's expand our if block. And we're also going to want a method. We're probably going to call it let's call it display room. Don't need any arguments because we'll have it run on current room. current room, we want to get the description. When I put, I think I've done this. Have I not done this yet? When I put a semicolon, or a colon rather, in front of a word, I'm telling Ruby that that is a symbol. That symbol is always the same and always is equal. When I just put a word like this that's not a string in a hash, it's going to turn that into a symbol. So let's see, I want to get the description, and I can probably just print the description. And we can put exits, and we will display the current room's exits, which is a array of arrays. So what we really are interested in is the first element in each array. Invariably there's a nice clean line to get that, but we will just map, which will apply an item to, or a function, to each element of the array. So, oops, doing a couple things here that are worth noting. Ruby, pretty much everything in Ruby that's worth doing can take a block argument instead of the normal parameters. And the block is literally just a section of code that will get handed in, and whatever function you're handing that block to will have a way to deal with that block. In this case, we're making a block that takes an argument, which is what we defined with the pipes here. We said we're going to take an argument x, which in this case, since we're applying this to our exits, is going to be an item like this, and we just want to return the first index of x, which is our direction, if you will. So that's going to return our list of just the directions. And we wish to join that list together. Join will just combine each of the items in that array into a string, separated by whatever we tell it to separate them by. So we want to separate them with commas. Actually, comma space will look good. So they should get the room description, we should get our exits, and we should get a blank line. We'll put out a cursor. I don't want a new line at the end, which I believe put is the proper way to do that. Let me double check. Yep. Let's see. Let's do Ruby. What's without a line? Yeah, print. Things I forget. Should give us a cursor for them to type at when we do kits. Alright. So we'll display our room. We now want to use gets to get input from the user, whereas puts gives them something. Gets takes something from them, which will normally be a line that they'll enter. Let's see. We're going to call this our input. chomp on this because I remember gets will return with the new line character at the end of the line, which is kind of inconvenient for string matching and isn't something we really care about. So chomp will trim off the white space there at the end and hopefully remove that annoying character for us so we don't have to deal with it. And then just we'll do a little some checking at the end where if inputs is equal to exit, we will actually this can be a modifier. So return false if our input is exit, otherwise we return true and don't do anything different. So right now I expect when we start our game, it should display the start room, it should display its exits, hopefully comma separated. We should get a cursor. I've realized now that probably don't want the cursor in here because we're going to want the cursor to reappear each time before we get input. And then we could probably use a line break before it, just to clean up our output a little bit. So our user should get the room display. It should ignore anything they type and keep prompting them for messages until they type exit, which I'm going to change this to a regex in a little bit so we can make it case insensitive. Nice and easily. And if I hit exit, then it should stop the loop and exit out. Syntax error, oh no. In our while loop, it's not happy. Apparently it doesn't like the empty block structure. I think we'll have to do a do end. Alright, so we see that it's displayed, the first room. It still has our exits are east, printed out our cursor prompt, and it's asked us for some input. So I'm going to hit E, which shouldn't do anything. We get a new prompt. And then I'm going to try exit, which is the one thing that should do something, and our game has left. Alright, I'm going to see what file. We should only have one file. Yeah, I've got the new folder to add. I'm going to add everything. Should show us our file. Yep. I'm going to commit this with the message. Beginning framework in place. Can exit game. Hopefully that will remind me what I'm doing when I come back to this. I can now push that out to the GitHub repository. Alright, and I can leave this here. And that'll wrap up what we're doing for now. I guess look for section 3.